Hey there, everyone. How you doing today? Got up at 4 a.m. this morning because we have this full-day event in Fresno where we're doing this hands-on real estate training, talking about the initial phone calls. We're talking about walking through flips and repairs and just all this kind of stuff. So, been on the road, so I couldn't record the daily financial news as I normally do from home. So hopefully this works. The first thing to kind of point out when we think about the daily financial news this morning is it looks like a lot of the talking heads on TV, a lot of the articles I'm reading are kind of coming to the same conclusion that we have, and that is that 2020, all things considered currently is going to be a pretty good year, right? What I mean by that is most people agree that the Fed is done cutting rates and also likely won't raise rates next year, which means the cost of capital, right, debt is pretty low, and you can count on it being pretty low for the year. Most people are at least in the general agreement that the trade war, phase one trade war, agreement will come to be. Most people agree that the bigger kind of phase two, just, keeping in context with what they're calling phase one, something will get done next year. It is also clear that the U.S., at least compared to the China data, shows the U.S. economy, the U.S. consumer doing well. Manufacturing jobs, for example, in the latest unemployment report were up. Unemployment is down. Where in China, their cost of food, right, is up. They've the consumers out there are hurting a lot. So it seems to be a lot of things are going in the right direction. You also have a lot of acquisitions and those kinds of things. But companies growing, adding growth, employees, technology, things of that nature. So it just got me thinking when I read all those articles this morning is what are you going to do in 2020, right? What are you going to do for your family, for you personally, to make 2020 better? If you were talking to this or watching this channel probably 6 months ago, I was a little bit nervous about the coming recession, right? We hadn't yet cut rates. The economy was slowing. We were feeling the first implications of the trade war, and people were nervous. The good news is we've escaped that. We've gotten through that. But the business cycle is real. It will eventually not be this good. So, again, I ask, if 2020 is going to be a good year, what are you going to do for you and your family, right? Are you going to be like lots of consumers and just keep spending, right? I suspect it will be easier next year to get consumer-based credit. Banks are going to be looking for ways to generate profit given that they're borrowing costs or lending costs are so low. They're going to want to, do something. So you're going to be like the normal consumer and just keep living paycheck to paycheck? Are you going to make a concentrated effort to live on less? Right? Are you really going to take a look at what a want and a need is? If you watch this channel, there's a pretty good chance you're interested at least in real estate investing. Right. Have written a book called One Rental at a Time because I believe that's the way for busy professionals who have jobs they like, the jobs that take a lot of time, growing family, for ways for you to get wealthy. Right? I believe if you get to 4 rentals and that's all you ever do, that your financial future will be in a much better position. So what are you going to do next year? Right? What are you going to do in 2020 to take one big step? A lot of people I talk to are at 0. And I got to tell you, going from 0 to 1 is hard. I get it. You got to build confidence. You got to save money. You got to learn your market. So when I think about this and I talk with folks, it's, you can do 2 things at once, right? You can make a conscious decision to live on less. If you can't just because of the means, maybe it is go get a second job, right? There are 2 sides of the equation. One is income, one is expenses. For most folks I talk to, it's easiest to cut expenses. But for some folks, we got to increase the revenue side. So let's talk about that. But what is it going to be in 2020? We may have 2020, we may have 2021. but eventually this is going to turn. So, I really want people to think about, as we exit 2019, what are you going to do to make 2020 better? And more importantly, it's not really about 2020. What are you going to do in 2020 to make your future better? Is it get that first rental property? Is it cut expenses by 10%? Is it learn your market? That's the thing that I believe and that I teach in my course, because I think it's the often overlooked thing, is you need to learn what your market produces. I'm not here one to sit here and say you should go to city X or city Y, because I think you can make it work in any city. And if you can't, there is certainly a city within a couple hours drive where it will work. I'm a perfect example of that. I live in one of the most expensive areas in Silicon Valley. So I found Fresno, California, which is 2.5 hours away. At the time in 2003, it was close to the 1% rule. It made sense. But again, there are markets. If you live in Silicon Valley, you live in New York, Miami, Dallas, Texas, there are markets close by that can work. But you need to learn your market. You need to build confidence. You need to look at a lot of property. This is where I see a lot of folks fall down. They have the interest, the eager, they're watching YouTube University, they're reading Bigger Pockets, but they're not looking at properties. They're not running the numbers. When you follow what I teach or what I talk about, the first thing you do in my course is you build an Excel spreadsheet for your market. What does my market produce? Does my market produce an average deal of 5%, 3%, 9%? How can you know if you found a good deal if you don't even know what average is for your market? Lots of people get this wrong. Spend the 90 days, look at the market, get focused, get a criteria, go after it. Right? We have a private Facebook group for students now, and got a I don't know what you would call it, a selfie with a couple who got their first rental, and they said, "This is great. We built confidence. We did a deal because we knew what average was." And they found a deal, and they had the confidence to pull the trigger together. And they're young. I didn't ask their age, but they've got to be in their 20s. It's just a great feeling, right? Helping people get their first rental property and take that with confidence is a great feeling. If you want to enter 2020 and know how to build confidence, let me help you. Take the course. Use the coupon code BOOK20, and I'll even send you an autographed book. If you already have the autographed book, give it away as a Christmas present. Give it to someone else. Let someone else change their life. So again, lots of students, there's actually a playlist on this channel where you can go listen to students talk about how the course has created focus, how it's allowed them to build confidence and take solid steps. So in the end, I better get focused on driving. I'm on what am I on? 152, I guess. So I'm going to call this a video. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Again, the daily financial news today is everybody is starting to agree that 2020 is going to be an okay year. But again, I have to ask, if it's going to be an okay year, what are you going to do to make it a little bit better? If you want help building confidence, scroll down below. There's a link to the course. Use the coupon code BOOK20, and let's get after it. And if you're coming to the Fresno event, I'll see you there in a couple hours. Take care. Bye.